Hello all, hope you are very good. If you remember at our last class we learned about, yes, Arduino and motor. So we understand the concept of the motor driver. Now see what are the components we need to implement the Arduino motor driver with our motor. We need the motor, the Arduino, some wires, and also some male to female wires like this, a breadboard, and we also need an extra power source, which is a battery, and a screwdriver. And the important part is the motor driver here. So let me tell you something about the motor driver. Here you can see there are, I'll start from the bottom. Here you can see it's written 12 volt, 5 volt and ground. So that means we have to connect the battery to this 12 volt, and the 5 volt is act as a converter here. If you connect 12 volt here, it will convert it into 5 volt, and this ground will work as a common ground. If you see at the top, in these ports we can connect the motor. So we can connect 1 and 2 motors simultaneously. So these are the outputs of the motor, and these 3 pins are input as voltage, and these are the 4 pins for the input of the motor. The motor we are connecting, so the 2 and 2, there are 4 input for 2 motors, which will control the motor at the front and backward. So that's all. Now let's do it. Here we have our circuit diagram of motor driver and the motor. So let's start with the battery first. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that Arduino is not capable enough to power up the motor, as because the motor needs more power to run. So unlike the LED, we can connect directly to the Arduino pin, but for the motor we need extra power source. So that's why we have to add a battery or any power source. So first we have to connect the positive from battery and the negative from battery to the breadboard. So this will work as a common ground. That means all the grounds can be connected through this line of the breadboard. So now back to the positive one. The positive wire from the battery will goes to the motor driver up, and it will be connected to the 12 volt, or you can also connect to the 5 volt, whatever you need. And now you can see the motor is connected to the out 1 and out 2 pin. So there is no positive and negative of the motor here. You can connect also in the vice versa way, and there's also another ground you can see. So we'll directly connect that to the breadboard, as we have the common ground. So all the ground should be connected to the Arduino here, and the important part is connecting the wires. That means the input wires. So you see the orange wire here, this will be connected to the 9 of Arduino. So remember one thing, for connecting the motor you always have to think of connecting this to the pin of something looks like this, not like the 7, 4 and 12 or 13. We always have to connect the pins for servo and for the DC motor to the PWM pins. PWM means pulse width module. So the things which needs frequent electricity supplies is known as pulse width modules. So we have to connect for the servo and motor to the pin number 9, 12, 13, and 6, 5 and 3. So we have connected the input 1 to 9 and input 2 to 10. So that's all our connection for the motor. So we have done with our component list and circuit diagram, so it's time to connect the motor driver and everything. So first we have to connect the wire to the motor, and then bringing all the component list. We start connecting the motor first. So this should be the out pin, so we are connecting the motor to the out. You don't think about the positive and negative for this time, because the motor doesn't require any positive and negative things. So once we connected the motor, we are gonna tighten the screws. Done. Now it's time to connect the common ground. So from the Arduino, so this should be all our ground. And now we're taking another wire, and we're gonna connect the this ground. You can see this ground to the common ground of the Arduino. So this is the ground, and we're connecting this ground to the Arduino. So let's tighten this one. And also we are putting this on our common ground, which is here. And now we need another ground, and that's come from the battery. So you see the battery, it's positive and negative. So that means the green wire will act like a ground here, and we are connecting the green wire to the same common ground of breadboard. So this is all our ground. And now let's move to the positive source. So we are connecting the power source of the battery to the 12 volt of motor driver. And this will power up our motor driver, you see. But you know one thing, we have powered up our motor driver and also connected the ground to the breadboard, but our motor isn't working. It's because, can you think why? Well, the answer is we haven't powered up our Arduino. If we do so, then you will see some LED on the Arduino, right? So now we are connecting the Arduino, but you should consider one thing very important here. So far we have connected our Arduino with the help of this port, and we connected with our computer, and this gives him the power source. But today I'll show you how we can connect the power up the Arduino using the cable, without using any cable. So for that we are taking a wire, and in the Arduino you see there are you know about the 5 volt and 3.3 volt, but we haven't worked with this thing. It's V-in. So V-in is something work like this pin here. So if we connect something in the V-in, approximately 5 volt, this Arduino will be powered up. So where do we get the 5 volt? Yes, as I mentioned earlier that it's 5 volt written here, so that means you can have 5 volt from here. So we are taking this 5 volt to the Arduino, and this is how the Arduino will get its power. So we have connected our Arduino and give power to the Arduino. So you can see both motor driver and Arduino have got the power. But can you tell why our motor is still not moving? Well, if you guess we haven't uploaded any code, that's also correct. But that's not what I want to tell you. Now, actually we haven't connected any input pins. You see, we connected the output, which is this, but we haven't connected these input pins. So now what you have to do, we have to connect the input to the Arduino. So for that we are taking two input wires, male to female wires. So, and we're connecting these two pins to Arduino pin number 9 and 10 at the PWM pins. So this will go to pin number 9 and this goes to pin number 10. And now it's time to upload the code. But before uploading the code, I want to give you a warning. Do not ever connect the cable while you are using the V-in power. So what you need to do, you have to disconnect all the ground and the V-in. Then you have to upload the code. If you don't do that, if the Arduino have power source from both ends, I mean the V-in and also the computer cable, the Arduino will be damaged and get burned. So be sure about that. So now we are uploading the code. So this is our code of motor driver. So we are taking two variables at integer motor pin 1, which will be connected to the port number 9, you see that, and 10, and we initialize those pins as output because we want to see the motor moving. So, and in the void loop section, we are using analog write, and the motor pin to 180 is the value, and analog write motor pin 0. That means once a motor will moving, another one will be stopped. And here analog write motor pin 0 and the motor pin is 180 degree, and in between those two we give a delay of 500 milliseconds. So what will this does? This code will turn motor A clockwise for 2 seconds, and let's see. We're uploading. But before that we have to verify the code. So it's done with our compiling, and let's upload. It says done uploading. So yes, reconnect this Arduino according to the connection. So pin number 9 and 10 and 5 volt to be in again. So let's see what we get after the you see our motor is moving. Now I want to give you a task, and your task is to you know how it works. Now I want to give you a task, because in hour 1 the motor was moving so fast, so your task is to move it more slow, and it will look something like this. So I guess you understand. Make some changes in the code and show us that it's working slowly. So that's all for the motor driver. Now we are moving forward to our project, which is a remote control car with the help of this motor driver. So goodbye from here.